Hello, ABM students. Welcome to our week 5 of Fundamentals of ABM1. And we will be discussing analyzing common business transactions, particularly the different books of accounts. Before we proceed, hanggang ngayon ba ay nagda-diary pa kayo? Or have you ever experienced having your diaries? Diba? Mahilig tayo dyan lalo ngayon kayo mga high school and elementary days. Bakit ka ba nagda-diary? Dear diary, how important is diary to you? Ma'am, sabi po kasi ng ESP namin, mag-diary daw po. No. Para saan? Diba? In diary, you you list or ninanarrate mo, kinukwento mo yung nangyari sa maghapon mo. No? Basically, your diary becomes your friend, 'di ba? Confident, your diary knows your deepest secrets, 'di ba? Your diary, ah, siya yung unang nakaalam kung sino yung crush mo. Uy, yung mga important events na nangyari sa'yo. Hanggang ngayon ba ginagawa niyo pa rin yun? Or hindi na? Yung iba kasi ginagawa na lang may tinatawag na blog, yung online diary, yan. Dati ako, netong first years ko ng pagtuturo, I usually talaga nagre-write ako ng diary. Tapos binabalikan ko kung ano yung mga significant days na nangyari sa akin noong mga panahon ngayon. And eventually, nung naging busy na medyo hindi na nalilimutan ko na hanggang sa nawala na siya. So basically, this topic ay i-discuss natin kasi si accounting meron din siyang diary, okay? Yan, and this particular video presentation, you are expected to first identify the uses of the books of accounts, the journal, and the ledger to record business transactions. Explain the use of general and special journals to record business transactions, and discuss the use of general and subsidiary ledgers to record business transactions. Okay? Let us recall the accounting process. Ayan. So, this photo represents the shortened accounting process. First, we have to identify. We select the economic events to record in the second process. After identifying the economic events, we'll do the recording. In here, you record, you classify, and you summarize the events or the transactions. And then after that, you will communicate to the external and internal parties, and then you analyze, or after the communication or the presentation of the result, what now? So, dito yan sa last part, And then, it will simply go back to identification, blah, blah, blah. Paikot-ikot lang naman siya, So, dito, sa lesson na ito, naandito na tayo kay recording process. From the definition, where do we record the transactions that we have identified? After identifying the economic events, saan ba natin to ilalagay pagkatapos? And how important or gaano kahalaga na mai-record natin yung mga transaction na iyon? And what are the tools that we use to document this transaction? So these three will be answered after the end of this lesson. The role of accounting records. Ano ba ang kahalagahan or ano ba ang ginagawa ng mga accounting records when it comes to the accounting process? First, this established the accountability for the assets and or the transactions under the individual's control. This keeps track of routine business activities such as amounts of money in banks, amounts due from credit customers, amount owed to the suppliers. Of course, hindi mo naman kasi kayang i-memorize lahat. Of course, lalo na yung mga details. Kung magkano, kailan, sino, saan. Kaya kinakailangan mo talaga na i-record ang mga iyon. Obtain detailed information about a particular transaction because every detail is very important when it comes to accounting. Evaluate the efficiency and performance of various departments within the organizations. Ano, matatrack mo din dyan. Baka mamaya, puro na lang pala kayong ah, ang pera nyo ay palabas na lang ng palabas. Ano, o kaya utang na lang ng utang. So, this served as evaluation, of course. Ano. Next, maintaining documentary evidence of the company's business activities. Of course, para kapag tinanong ka, ma'am, kasi sa pagkakatanda ko ay ganito, ganyan. Si ma'am ganito ay nagbigay ng magkano nga po yun, ganun, ganun. Noong kailan nga po yun? Oh, di ba mahirap yung ganun? Pero kung meron kang accounting records, of course, titingnan mo na lang kung, ay, anong page pa yun? Ay, nato pala, nakalagay dito, nakasulat dito, sa ganitong petsa, noong ganyan, ay nagbigay ng ganitong kahalagang pera. O, di ba? Mas, ah, meron kang accountability, mas detalyado, mas concrete, mas madaling hanapin, at mas madaling i-keep or itabi. Now, we have the so-called books of accounts. So, ito na nga yung pinaglalagyan ng different records. So, these are financial records, ledgers, and journals that compose of companies' accounts. Basically, this is the diary of the company. Company's financial memory. Isa siyang malaking system, isa siyang malaking memory card na kung saan na andun lahat ng transaction, lahat ng information na kailangan mo. This ensures regulatory compliance, served as proof of business transactions. Nagiging pruweba siya, nagiging basehan siya ng lahat ng magiging transaction ninyo. We have the journals, and journals has two kinds, the general and the special. We also have the ledger, the general ledger and subsidiary ledger. So later on, madidiscuss natin in detail yung mga yan. Let us go to the journal. Yan. Si journal ay parang diary natin. Diba si diary, tinatawag din natin journal talaga. This is a chronological record of all companies' transactions listed by date. So, by date, sorry. Kagaya ni journal or ni diary, di ba kapag nagsusulat tayo sa diary, by date siya, Yung halimbawa, yung unang araw na nag-diary ka, doon ka sa unang page, may date doon, May 15, 2021. Dear diary, blah, 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 blah. Sunod na day, sa baba nung day na iyon. So, chronological, meaning in order according to date. So, kung ano yung nauna, from the earlier hanggang sa present. Nakalagay lahat ng transactions. And kapag nagsusulat ka sa journal, ang tawag sa ginagawa mo is journalizing, recording financial information into your journal. Each transaction, the journal shows the debit and credit effects on specific amounts. So, kapag nag-record ka ng bawat transaction, nakalagay doon kung yung amount bang iyon ay ide-debit or ike-credit. So, the special journal, this is the most basic, has spaces for dates, count titles, and explanations, references, and two amount columns. Kaya merong two amount columns because we have the debit and the credit columns. And the specific journal, it is used by large companies for recurring transactions such as sales and purchasing merchandises. So later, makikita nyo kung para saan ba si specific journal. Ginagamit ito sa mga paulit-ulit na transactions. Let's go to the general journal. This is the most basic, ayan na nga example natin kanina. It discloses in one place the complete effects of a transaction, provides a chronological record of transactions, and it helps to prevent or locate errors because the debit and credit amounts for each entry can be easily compared. And this is also called the Book of Original Entries. Si General Journal ay first hand. Dito mo first nililista yung bawat transaction. Kaya siya tinatawag na Book of Original Entry. Yung unang pagsusulat mo ay kay General Journal. Ito yung example niya. Ayan. So, kung makikita nyo, meron tayong 5 columns. 1 for the date, 1 for the account titles and explanation, and then the ledger page. So, dito nililip pa natin ng blank yan. Debit and then the credit. Ayan. So, si date, October 1, October 3, October 5, October 17. So, ibig sabihin, sa mga date na iyon, may nangyaring financial transaction or economic event. Next, the account titles and explanations. Si account title, ito ay nanggagaling doon sa charts of account ninyo. Kung matatandaan ninyo, merong yung part na table na may nakalagay na halimbawa cash. Tapos ang code niya ay 001. Or for example, ang account title ay accounts receivable tapos merong code na 002. So, yun yung charts of account. At yung mga title na ilalagay nyo dito ay doon manggagaling. Sino gumagawa nun? Si company na mismo. So, wala namang standard kung paano siya nilalagyan ng code gaya ng nasabi ko sa inyo dati. Ikaw na ang magsaset ng code. Next, explanation. May nakalagay na explanation. For example, issued 8,000 shares of stocks for cash. Ibig sabihin, nagalaw si cash, nagalaw si capital stock. And then, ito yung explanation kung ano yung nangyari doon sa event na iyon. Halimbawa, purchase land for office site. So, nagkaroon ka ng galaw sa land, nagkaroon ka ng galaw sa cash. Hindi mo kasi pwedeng wala nang ilagay na explanation kasi ano nangyari kung land at cash lang yung nakalagay doon? Paano mo maaalala? Kaya naglalagay tayo ng very brief explanation. Next, the reference number or the ledger page. This is left blank during the journalizing process and is filled out during the posting process. So, kapag maglilipat ka na sa ledger, tsaka mo lang nilalagyan to. Tsaka mo lang nilalagyan tong part na ito. Ledger page yan. Ledger page. Next, the debit. Kung magkano yung na-debit and kung magkano yung na-credit. So, later, in the next video, siguro ay ipapaliwanag natin kung kailan ka naglalagay sa debit side, kung kailan ka naglalagay sa credit side. So, this is basically an example of general journal. Sunod-sunod, chronological. Ikinokwento mo yung nangyayari. Hindi nga lang in paragraph form. In simplified form. Okay? Ano ang significance ng general journal? First, it shows records chronologically, by date, para mas madaling hanapin. The missing or unrecorded transactions can be easily detected. Para makita mo, ay, naku, nung araw nga palang iyon, di ba, ganyan-ganyan. Hindi ko pala nailista. So, alam mo agad kung saan mo siya babalikan. Narrates different business dealings. Ayan, kagaya ng sabi ko sa inyo kanina, kinakwento niya, hindi nga lang in paragraph. Of course, kung ikaw naman si accountant or kahit naman ordinaryong employee lang nung ay maiintindihan mo naman si general journal kasi may mga labels naman. Next, it discloses the full effect of each transaction per entry kasi nga, nilalagyan mo rin ng specific amount yung na-debit at yung na-credit na account. Check and balance tool kasi later, kapag pinag-balance na kayo ng financial transactions, makikita mo pagka lumabas na hindi balance, makikita mo agad kung saan hindi or kung saan ka nagkamali ng paglalagay. Easy comparison of debit-credit entries. Ayan. Now, special journal. This is used by large companies for often engaged in hundreds of transactions each day. Diba? Kapag kasi simpleng kumpanya lang, yung general journal is enough na. Now, If ikaw ay nasa large companies, meron dong specific na transactions na lagi na lang paulit-ulit. Ano, especially sales, yung purchase, yung accounts receivable, ayan. Dependent on the types of transaction that occur frequently. Ayan, ito yung mga usually merong special journal. Si sales, si cash receipt, si purchase, si cash payments. Kasi ito yung palagi or paulit-ulit na nangyayari. Imagine niyo kung hindi gagawa ng special journal yung isang company, yung general journal pa lang is mapupuno na kagad. So better, ihiwalay na itong mga transactions na lagi namang nangyayari. Now, let's go to the ledger. Ay, by the way, yung itsura ng special journal, ikagaya lang din naman ng general journal. Yun nga lang, specific yung journal na iyon for a particular transaction. Now, ledger. Accounting book in which the accounts and their related amounts are reported in the journal are posted periodically. So, after mong mag-journalize, isusulat mo na iyon kasi 'di ba sabi ko nga si journal is the diary. So original entry. So after matapos ng journalizing, ililipat mo yung bawat entry sa isang ledger. At sa ledger, maghihiwa-hiwalay na siya per account. Kung kay cash lang, kung kay accounts receivable lang, kung kay capital lang, and so on. And this is called the book of final entry because dito ka na lang titingin kapag ikaw ay gagawa ng final financial statement. Kasi naka-per account na siya. Kay journal kasi ito ay naka-dire-diretso pa per date na nangyari. So kay ledger, hiwa-hiwalay na siya. Isosort mo na yung mga nasa journal into specific ledgers. General ledger, grouping of all accounts used in the preparation of financial statement, and the subsidiary ledger are just additional record of the general ledger for tracking per individual accounts. And this is just optional. Kung kanina naman, may paulit-ulit na transaction, eto naman, may paulit-ulit na individual. Yan. And kung kanina ang pagsusulat kay journal ay tinatawag na journalizing, kay ledger naman ang pagsusulat kay ledger ay tinatawag na posting. So this is transferring of journal entries to the ledger accounts to bring together the effect of transactions to the individual accounts of the company. Para din siyang pagsusort, pag halimbawa pinagsama-sama mo kasi lahat sa general journal, edi kapag ka ipopost mo na siya, so may mga specific na kalalagyan yung bawat entry. And posting ang tawag doon. Grouping of all accounts of the company showing its respective outstanding balance. Kasi after mo makapagsulat or makapag-post sa ledger, makikita mo na kaagad yung natitirang balance sa bawat account. Ilan na lang ba ang natirang cash, ilan na lang ba ang equipment, ang stocks, ilan pa yung utang ninyo, ilan pa yung pautang mo, yung capital, and so on. So, sa asset accounts, ito yung may mga ledger. Ayan, ito yung mga gagawan. Meron kang tatlong accounts, pero bawat bawat account, yan. Gagawa ka ng ledger for PPE, ledger for inventory, ledger for accounts receivable, for cash, and other assets. Kay liability naman, loans payable, salaries payable, interest payable, accounts payable. Cost of goods sold, sales or revenue, drawings, and the capital. So, bawat isang ganyan, may ledger yan. Gagawan mo ng ledger yan. So, kung marami kang account, edi lahat yun gagawan mo ng ledger. Madami kang ledger. The general ledger contains all the asset, liability, and owner's equity accounts of the company. The grouping is according to their chart of accounts and they appear on the financial statement. So, lagi nauuna si assets and then susunod natin si liability and then si equity. Ayan, ito yung example. Account name, for example, si cash, lalagay mo dyan. Magbigay tayo ng halimbawa kung paano magpo-post sa ledger. So, gaya ng sabi ko, tayo ay magbabase kay General Journal. Ito yung example natin kanina. Si General Journal na first entry, October 1, 19 something. Sa example na ito, may dalawang accounts na nagalaw. We have the cash and the capital stock. So that means meron tayong dalawang general ledger na gagawin. Unahin natin si cash. Yan, ito ang general ledger ni cash. Sa account name, ilalagay nyo, edi si cash. Ano, kasi cash yung pangalan ng account name na base doon sa charts of account na ginawa ng company. Account number, ito rin yung nakalagay sa charts of account, yung code na tinatawag. So, date, October 1, dito yun galing. And then, explanation. Explanation na lang yung ilalagay nyo dito. So, ang explanation ay investment of capital by owner o kaya ay issued shares of stock for cash. Yan. GG. GJ1, ibig sabihin General Ledger page 1. Ayun, nakalagay sa taas. General Ledger page 1 and then naka-debit siya sa cash kaya sa debit siya papasok. So the balance is 8,000. 80,000, sorry. Again, debit, edi sa debit side niya ilalagay and then balance 80. Next, pagdating naman sa pangalawa, ang second account is the capital. Ito. So, ang explanation, kagaya lang din nung una, investment of capital by owner or issued share of stocks for cash. Kung ano yung explanation na ginamit nyo doon sa General Journal. Date, the same, October 1, 19 something. And then GJ1, General Journal page 1. Now, nasa credit side naman kasi sa credit side ng journal nakalagay. So, the balance is 80,000. Alright? So, basically, ay sinusort nyo lang talaga siya. So, kung dito pa lang sa General Journal, nagkamali na kayo ng entry ng debit o credit, ay di paktay kadiha dito sa ating General Ledger. Kaya, i-discuss natin sa susunod na video kung kailan ka magde-debit at kailan ka magke-credit. Next, Subsidiary Ledger. These are group of accounts with similar characteristics. So, accounts receivable, accounts payable, yung mga pare-parehas ng characteristics. Additional record to the general ledger to track the per individual accounts of the companies, customer, creditors, and suppliers. So, kung kanina, yung frequent transaction, ito naman yung frequent na ka-transaction ninyo. So it could either be a customer, a creditor, or a supplier. Yan. So, kung meron kang, halimbawa, kung meron kang mga general ledger sa bawat account na iyan, si subsidiary ledger, meron din siyang branches pa. No? For example, for accounts receivable, gagawan mo si customer A, si customer C, si customer C. Sila kasi yung paulit-ulit mong katransaksyon. So, kung kanina sa specific journal, yung paulit-ulit na transaction, kay subsidiary ledger, yung paulit-ulit na katransaction. Alright? Yan. So, accounts payable kay creditor A, B, or C. Okay, understand? So, same lang din siya ng itsura ni general ledger. Yun nga lang, ang ilalagay mo na sa taas ay account name, for example, accounts receivable, and then pangalan ni customer. Dadagdagan mo lang siya. Para meron kayong specific track sa bawat isa. Naka-record doon yung transaction nyo nung specific individual na iyon. Malinaw? Ayan. Ito pala. Ito yung accounts name, accounts receivable, subsidiary ledger, and then name of the customer. And then address. So, same lang din ang content. Yun nga lang, specific siya for a specific individual. Okay. Tapos na. So, that's the short discussion for the books of accounts. Tatandaan, si journal ay book of original entry. Doon mo ilalagay yung mga transaction in chronological order. Lahat ng details, the date, the account titles, the explanation, the debit and credit amounts. And then the ledger, this is the book of original entry, and you call it posting if you are to transfer na yung details from the general journal to the general ledger. Okay? And that's all for this week. I'll see you on the next video kung paano mag-debit and credit. Okay? Goodbye!